The Giver, Chapter 8, Summary in quotes. The ceremony of 12 is over, but Jonas still does not know his assignment. In this chapter, we learn why the chief elder skipped over Jonas during the ceremony. This lesson will cover Chapter 8 of Lois Lowry's The Giver. In the previous chapter, imagine waiting all year for your birthday party, only to have your parents forget to plan one. Or worse, decide you do not deserve one. Jonas feels forgotten after long months of waiting, and with the chief elder skipping him during the ceremony of 12. After she jumps from calling 18 to 20, Jonas is left scared and embarrassed, wondering what he has done wrong to make the committee of elders decide he should not get an assignment. The chief elder apologizes. At the open of Chapter 8 in Lois Lowry's The Giver, the ceremony of 12 has ended. All of the 11s have received their assignments. All except Jonas, that is. The chief elder skipped him. Not only is Jonas worried now, but the entire audience is also, and they applaud the final assignment without enthusiasm. Everyone knows the chief elder does not make mistakes, especially during the most important of the age ceremonies. Jonas applauds too, but his applause is out of habit. His mind is elsewhere, having shut out all of the earlier emotions, the anticipation, excitement, pride, and even the happy kinship with his friends. Now he felt only humiliation and terror. Even with the anxiety leading up to this day, the wondering what assignment he would get, and the nervous waiting, the ceremony of 12 is supposed to be a high point in a child's life. The chief elder waits for everyone to finish before addressing the audience again. She tells them she knows they are troubled by what seems like a mistake. The people of the audience seem to relax a little bit, knowing the cause of their concern is about to be explained. The chief elder apologizes for causing them anxiety, and the crowd accepts her apology in unison. She apologizes again to Jonas specifically and calls him on stage with her. Not assigned, but selected. Still nervous and confused, Jonas walks slowly onto the stage. Once he is next to the chief elder, she puts her arm across his shoulders and announces he has not been assigned. Instead, she says, Jonas has been selected. Jonas joins the rest of the audience in confusion. They do not have to wait long before the chief elder explains. Calmly, she announces, Jonas has been selected to be our next receiver of memory. Jonas does not understand what this selection means or why he hears a gasp, the sudden intake of breath, drawn sharply in astonishment by each of the seated citizens. Everyone is still staring at him, but this time their looks are not worried. Instead, they now look at him with awe and respect. This selection rarely happens. There is only one receiver. The current receiver has been in this position for many years. When he looks towards the committee of elders, Jonas sees a man he has never seen before. The man has a beard and pale eyes, just like Jonas's. The last time the committee made a selection for receiver was 10 years ago, and that selection was a failure. The chief elder will not speak more about that selection because it makes everyone uncomfortable. Jonas is not old enough to remember, but he could sense the discomfort of the audience. The chief elder reassures everyone that they have taken their time making this selection to ensure they do not fail again. What awaits the receiver in training? Other 12s will be monitored during the training for their assignments, but the receiver in training is different. The rules clearly say that once this selection has been made, training cannot be watched, and the choice of person cannot be changed. Instead, the receiver in training is to be alone, apart, while he is prepared by the current receiver for the job, which is the most honored in our community. Because of these rules, the committee must unanimously agree on the choice. Although he is growing more nervous as she speaks, The chief elder tells everyone, the committee began watching Jonas very carefully years ago. Over those years, he has shown the qualities they believe a receiver must have: intelligence, integrity, and courage. The chief elder emphasizes courage because the training Jonas will now have to go through is unlike anything he has experienced before. For one thing, the training will involve physical pain. While Jonas has had the typical childhood falls off a bicycle and stubbed fingers, those were nothing compared to what he will go through. The chief elder tells him he will face pain of a magnitude that none of us here can comprehend because it is beyond our experience. The receiver himself was not able to describe it because nobody has felt real pain, so no one can help Jonas prepare for it. The fourth quality is wisdom, which he will gain during training. Finally, the chief elder explains there is one other quality the receiver in training must have. She does not understand it, and none of the audience members will either. However, she thinks perhaps Jonas will, because the current receiver has told us that Jonas already has this quality. He calls it the capacity to see beyond. At first, Jonas is even more confused. As the chief elder has been speaking, he has been growing more and more nervous and scared. He considers begging them to reconsider, to throw himself on their mercy, ask their forgiveness, to explain that he has been wrongly chosen, that he was not the right one at all. Although we know Jonas is different from everyone else in his community, he himself has not yet realized that. As he is preparing to speak, Jonas looks out over the audience, and the thing happened again. The thing that had happened with the apple. They changed. A few months before, Jonas had been playing catch with his friend when the apple they were using as a ball appeared to change mid-air. Nobody else saw the change, and Jonas got in some trouble when he took the apple home to try and figure out what had happened. Now the same momentary change happens to the audience as he looks at them. Jonas accepts. Although he does not understand it, he felt a tiny sliver of sureness for the first time. Jonas straightens his shoulders and announces he thinks it is true that he has the capacity to see beyond. After all, the chief elder thanks him for his childhood and announces he will be trained to be our next receiver of memory. When she finishes speaking, she leaves Jonas alone on stage in front of the entire population of their community. Watching him, they began spontaneously the collective murmur of his name. They begin in a whisper, but gradually increase the volume until they are shouting. Jonas understands. They are showing they accept the selection of him. He feels proud, but at the same time, he was filled with fear. He may have accepted his fate, but that does not mean he understands the road ahead of him. Lesson summary. Like so many of us, Jonas has had no idea what his assignment would be, or what he might want to do for the rest of his life. Unlike those of us in the real world, he did not have to make the choice himself. Although Jonas is clearly different, much of Jonas's life has been spent following strict rules that encourage all citizens to behave similarly. While these rules are in place, and in order to maintain a seemingly perfection in the community, Lowry has implied that not everything is as it seems. Jonas's fear, as he begins training, is not only a fear of the unknown, but the beginning of the time in the book when Lowry more clearly shows the true nature of his community.